welcome back. And before going on to the break, we were having a discussion about the peace and its interrelation with the education. So I did my master's in peace and conflict studies, and we had to send our feedback to the HEC. And one of the person wrote it, okay, so you taught us about the peace and conflict and why there's a conflict around the world, but why did you fail to teach us about the conflict that is happening in our houses or with my wife, etc.? So that was on the lighter note. So I really wanted to ask you and throw this question to our worthy guest here, is that we see that there is a climate change, right?
Yes.
There is a disaster which is induced because of the climate change. Are our curriculums inclusive enough of this sort of education where teaching students about the disaster management in the first place?
Definitely, our curriculum is based on, civic sense also.
True. Okay.
And activities like plantation,
Right.
social awareness about, climate change through project work, discussions. So these are the things, these are the activities that we are holding in our schools. Children learn through reflective learning.
Okay, lovely.
And we always encourage them to reflect. We need to have think tanks about all these things. So when they go through...
Think tanks were sane enough.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely, definitely. Let them think about what is a climate change. Let them think about how to, control it. What remedies can we take?
Right.
So these are the things we always, inculcate in our students. It is very important. So yes, our curriculum is inclusive of it.
Exactly. So, when we say that, we inculcate all of these values, we really need to kind of come down to where how we have seen, all of those students exhibiting or practicing those values, which is a very rare sight. So, when we talk about, Hanji, ye padha diya, Hanji, yaad kya hua, kuch nahi. So, I think what we really need to come down to is that, whether how many times we have seen all of those students who have been, kind of given those values, and then at the same time they were seen exhibiting, because for example, if it was a class of 30, probably 10 would do it. That's where the change starts, and that's what we spoke about as well. But now when we come down to peace and conflict, I think what we really need to talk about over here is that how, we certainly do not have peace in between husbands and wives. How can we have it holistically? So let's kind of talk about it a little bit as well.
Yes, just think about it. Like, why there is no peace at home? Maybe we are over demanding. Maybe we are not leading a simple life. We are thinking more of, facilities than necessity.
True.
So these are the things that we need to look after as a family. And as a family, we need to inculcate all these things in our children as well.
Exactly. And what I wanted to add over here is that for all of those mothers who are out there, while your husband, in fact, the father of the kid is somewhere out, making sure that he is working hard to run the house, or even the mothers, likewise for both the genders, please make sure that you do not use it against your husband or your wife while you're with your kids. Or, she does not spend time with you and whatnot. Please never do that. Because when kids grow up, they eventually realize whether who has actually been out there taking all of that brunt too as well. Oh, very quickly.
And one thing more I would like to add here for parents, that, there should not be any discrimination between children.
Yep.
On the basis of how good grades does the child take,
True.
on basis of, how smart the child is, and on the basis of, how beautiful your child looks.
Yeah.
So this discrimination should not be there.
Okay, and we also see a lot of times there is a lot of social comparison, like you mentioned very aptly, especially between the cousins, between the family members. Okay, this cousin is doing well and you're not doing well, and you're going to land up in...
Why you are not taking certain grades which are required?
In fact, our cousins used to call us and tell us, oh, yaar, tum pass ho gaye. You passed your exams.
So how terrible is this social comparison for the kids?
It's very terrible.
Or is it healthier at times? There are some kids with you really need to kind of do it.
Right.
I don't think so.
Okay,
it's healthy.
wonderful.
It's not healthy because, it's always motivation. Motivation is a factor through which you can always, promote peace as well.
So can motivation come through comparison? I think
no,
so,
that
right?
is a negative motivation.
No, why? Because, you tell somebody, okay, look, he has achieved so much in life. That's how you draw inspiration.
Sometimes, as an inspiration, you can do
so
it.
you partially agree
Yes.
now.
For inspiration, yes.
Yes.
But not as, that all the time there is a comparison going on between, cousins and brothers or sisters or whatever.
Okay, so very quickly, because you've worked with the British Council and you were a core skill trainer as well, what are those basic core skills which we really require to have empathy, to make sure that,
Yes.
we're out there helping people as well?
You used the word empathy.
Yep.
That is one of the main thing that we need to, not preach but practice. Then communication skills. That how can you, whatever you want to say to someone, whatever you want to communicate.
Yep.
So for that reason, you need to have good communication skills. And then yes, you have to include people. Inclusion. Inclusion is very important. Again, on the basis of uh, not on racism, but you have to include people.
Okay,
Yep.
so you have been educationist for quite some years, for almost I think 3 decades, I believe, and you have very closely seen the education system of Pakistan. So what gaps do you feel are there which needs to be bridged in order to have more inclusive society?
Um, Again, I would go back to teachers training.
Okay.
That is very important, and then practice in the classroom. What's happening? What is the, sort of relation of a teacher and a child? This is very important.
True.
A good relation leads to, motivation to learning. So that is something which is really important for motivation of the education or motivation of the learning of the child. So as far as the curriculum is concerned, the curriculum needs to be upgraded every year. There has to be some research. There has to be the gaps you are talking about. We need to see to those gaps, and then we have to work on them. So this thing is very important.
Okay.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for wrapping it up for us as well. Thank you very much, Ms. Samina Raja, for being with us. It was lovely to be in conversation for everybody who's out there. Since it happens to be World Peace Day, number one, we really need to have peace with our inner self in the first place.
That's
and then
true.
make sure that, that everybody who surrounds us are the people that we are going to give love. And yes, obviously, all of those education institutes which are out there, because my university, God forbid, was 2005 earthquake.
Right.
They said, you're going to pass all your exams if you're going to go out there and help the people, who've been displaced. Let's talk about Kashmir on this incidents as well. And we did that, and alhamdulillah, we got that great. So that's the role education institutions can play, by making sure that a lot of students volunteer for all of those people who've been affected by a flood. We're going for a short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Good morning.
Welcome back, and before going on to the break, my wonderful colleague here said some wonderful lines that we need to have inner peace within ourselves. That's very important, especially in today's world, because we see there's so much mental illnesses around the world. We see depression, anxiety, and such kind of stuff around the world. And why is that? So because again, the peace is in the short supply when it comes to that, right? So Shahzad, today is also the World Alzheimer's Day, and we need to talk about this disease because there's some misconceptions, myths around this disease about it having been acquired in the old age. So it may not necessarily have a link with the age factor when it comes to that. But again, then the genetic factors can also be very much prominent when it comes to tackling this disease about
Exactly.
it. And also, we have seen that in Pakistan there is a prevalence of this disease and it goes unnoticed. Why? Because there are a lot of structural norms or culture norms or customs around here that says, oh, this might not be disease, this might be, you know, some sort of saya on you and stuff like that. So a lot of time this gets skips out, right?
Exactly. So the core problem over here is of us not having the understanding of this very mental illness, because Alzheimer or dementia, when we speak about it, is not just because of aging, you know, so that's something which we really need to put our head to. So this is something which we will be discussing, and in addition to that, obviously because we have been, you know, there's been a disaster in terms of when we talk about flood and monsoon on steroids over in Pakistan. So a lot of waterborne diseases, and that too, obviously we know that COVID has existed already. So we want to talk about all of these things. So first things first, I'm going to introduce my worthy guests over here inside the studios. First up, we are very lucky that we've been joined by somebody who happens to be a psychiatrist, ladies and gentlemen. He is Dr. Iftikhar Bani. Hello, sir. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for joining us. Wonderful to have you with such a great smile. And alongside Dr. Iftikhar, we're lucky that we've been joined by somebody who is going to talk about waterborne diseases and COVID. She's the head of medical unit at RIH. She happens to be Miss Dr. Rubina Aman. Hello, ma'am. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for joining us. Wonderful to have you. So first things first, it happens to be Alzheimer's Day today. And Alzheimer is not just one of those mental illnesses which is caused by aging. So how does it happen to people? And do we have a treatment for that which is lifelong, or is it not lifelong?
Yes, your question is very interesting, and definitely it will take some time. You have already told me that this is the Alzheimer Day today, 21st September.
Yep.
And this day is being celebrated for a long time. First time it was celebrated in 1994. And then 2012, it was decided that September will be declared as Alzheimer month.
Yes.
Also. So this is really something very nice which happened. And there was one organization which is called Alzheimer Disease International.
Okay.
It is UK based organization. They take a good initiative and they started this day in 1994, and still it is being celebrated. And definitely the purpose behind this celebration is this, that people from all over the world, from every corner, they are coming out. They are raising awareness regarding Alzheimer, and they are reducing the stigma related to Alzheimer disease and dementia. Because normally people think that Alzheimer is just like normal aging. This is the wrong concept.
Okay.
And even in Urdu, you know, one term is used, Satyana.
Yeah.
When you are crossing your 60, people think that now you are going to be insane person, and if you are behaving in abnormal way, it's a normal phenomena. It's not like that. Alzheimer is a disease. We should know it. Alzheimer is some type of dementia, and dementia is definitely very important disease and should be explained to everyone, and all the people should understand that what is dementia is.
And thank you very much, sir, for raising this very important point, because most of the time this term which Dr. Saab has coined, you know, which is very popularly used over here in Pakistan, Satyana, is usually used with Buddha Satya gaya hai ya Budiya Satya gaya hai, which I believe is very disrespect. It is like giving disrespect to all of those people who've looked after you for years and years. So please, number one, don't do that. Okay, sir, is it just because of age, or do you think that, you know, any person who's at 20 years of age, 30 years of age can still get it? Can a jawan bhi satya ja sakta hai, something like that?
Rarely it happens, but Alzheimer disease and dementia is not possible before the age of 45. So after 45 you can expect, but in fact it starts after the age of 65.
All right. So can we stop it?
After 65, no, I did not cross yet.
Yep.
And you are below 45, I think.
Alhamdulillah,
So you are long away,
sir.
inshallah, you will remain away during the whole life. So after 65 years of age, you can say 5% people will be suffering from Alzheimer or dementia. And when you are 85, 20% people will be suffering. So every 5 years, 5% population is increasing.
So then why is it wrong to say that people who age will get dementia then?
No, it is not related to age. But
then why you keep on saying that, you know, beyond 45,
because there
beyond
are
60?
some degenerative changes, but it could be stopped, they could be helpful, and we should take proper yani aspect of this disease. We should support those people who are suffering from dementia, Alzheimer. So this concept should be clear.
All right.
And it is not necessary that every person who is getting old, he will be suffering from dementia or Alzheimer. You know Mahathir Mohamad,
Yep.
at the age of 95, he came again as Prime Minister of Malaysia. So it is
Exactly.
not necessary. We should support those people and we should help it out. We should explain. We should reduce the stigma. All these things are necessary.
Okay,
We will certainly do that.
If I can just
Yeah,
add
sure.
to Dr. Iftikhar, just like we look after our physique, our bodies, our vision, our
Yep.
hair, we can similarly look after our brains as well. So this concept has to be put forward. So just like if you exercise, you will keep your muscles intact, and
Yep.
even if you are growing old, you will grow age gracefully.
Dr. Saiba, I think that's a
fine.
wonderful perspective. But you know what I would say, because this is something which I've decided for myself in life now,
Yeah.
and this is a conclusion which I made for myself, that you know when it comes down to your physical health, obviously you're the one responsible.
And
But
similarly for
but
your
when it
mental
comes
health.
down to mental
Me-
health,
yeah.
there are a lot of people who play a role.
Yeah.
You know, people will get into your head, people will stress you out, people will put more pressure on you. So, that's where a lot of people really need to work together in
Yeah.
terms of making sure that people are mentally healthy
Therefore, we
within
have a
our
collective.
community.
Therefore,
Yes.
we need to be collective.
Exactly.
But even individually, you have to, kind of filter yourself.
What do we do, to keep our mental?
For example, don't take like I mean, if
That's
I
what
can
I'm
quote
saying now, it does
Munna
not
bhai
happen.
tension lene ka nahi dene ka re. So don't take it. Don't take it.
Yeah.
Filter out the negativity. That's
Exactly.
how. And you read a lot of it in social media these days. Stay positive.
I think it's faith.
Sit,
You know,
avoid.
as
That's
as
true.
far
I-
as
I
far
agree.
as you
I
have
agree.
your
Yeah.
your faith in
100%.
And
Allah
faith
Almighty,
has a
everything's
lot
going.
to do with it.
And
yeah.
obviously, all the time, whenever you practice that faith, ladies and
Yeah.
gentlemen, Allah will
Yeah.
never let you down.
Exactly.
Alhamdulillah.
That's
Yeah.
true.
So
That's
if
very
you're
quickly-
rooted in faith, you will really be standing strong on
Exactly.
your feet.
Okay,
Yeah.
so coming back to Dr. Saiba, I really wanted to ask you about the COVID.
Yeah.
And we have seen there is sort of a guarded optimism that yes, COVID cases are going down. And do you think that we are better prepared for the future viruses because we know how the viruses operate? And what sort of prevention do you think we should still take, especially when it comes to the COVID?
Okay, first I will say that yes, COVID has been a great learning experience.
Right.
So we are a generation of doctors and of people in general who have seen a pandemic. This is something you see once in a century.
Right.
So as clinicians, we've faced the pandemic. And we know how it
Real
what are
heroes.
the dynamics. I
Yeah.
don't know, not heroes. I mean,
We would
it's been a
certainly want to
learning
label you as
experience.
heroes
We've
because when
learned
it was COVID,
yeah.
nobody was coming out. It was the doctors.
Yeah. So yes, we've kind of overcome the worst.
True.
So even though we still keep having small waves, we just had a wave in July, which was the 4th wave. But yes, I think it is waning away. In fact, last Wednesday, the Director General of WHO, he too said that the end is near of the pandemic.
Exactly.
So yes, we are again learning experiences. Yes, it depends upon what we are ready to learn.
Yeah.
Every year a wave, even flu virus comes, and are we prepared for it? Dengue comes, are we prepared for it? So it depends how much are we ready to learn from our experiences, and what are we going to plan in future.
And that's
Yeah.
exactly what I wanted to ask, because it's Biden the other day actually in a statement said that coronavirus has officially ended now. So imagine that Pakistanis as a nation, we weren't ready for such a pandemic, and unfortunately we're never prepared. I'm very sorry, but
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
have to put it this
Yeah.
way: may it be any sort of devastation, we actually do not have a very proactive strategy.
And
rather,
we don't learn from our history. We learn from our history that we don't learn from
for people
our
like
history.
you
Yeah.
are actually going to contribute, God forbid, if there's such a pandemic in coming days. Let's talk about dengue these days. It's spreading, it's
It is
taking a
spreading,
lot of people's life, and all of those waterborne diseases in the flood hit areas. How do you think that people can move on towards prevention rather than cure?
Exactly.
And how can they prevent themselves from waterborne diseases?
Yeah, it's be safe than sorry. Our entire medical system here deals with the end rather than the beginning.
Yeah.
So we face the aftermath, and we do not take the preventive measures. So what we need to do at our national level, in our health policies level, is to strengthen our primary health care.
Okay.
And if our primary health care is good, if our preventive health care is good, the burden on the tertiary care will not fall.
Exactly.
So really for example, dengue,
we should foresee. We know that in July and August we are going to get rains, if not as many as this,
और
at
साफ
least some
पानी के
kind.
खड़े होने से आता है मच्छर भाई आप पानी साफ करें
साफ रखें. Be prepared. Provide mosquito nets. Provide repellents. Provide solutions for those who are working outdoors.
Exactly.
You have to do that. And I was reading the other day that one bite of Aedes aegyptis, the mosquito which causes, can cause dengue.
Right.
And dengue, okay, all viral illnesses have a certain behavior.
True.
Okay.
For the younger people who are immune, it might just be an acute febrile illness which will pass away. And yet for those who are not who are not immunologically strong, or those who have other comorbidities, as we say, diabetes, hypertension, cardiac, it may just be life-threatening.
True.
So really we have to take care. So we have to stop it before it progresses.
Exactly. Thank you very much for saying that. And in addition to that, while, sir, I was actually doing my research and studying about Alzheimer and dementia, they said that, God forbid, if anybody, but I don't know whether I should say it on TV, it might not even sound very nice, but they say that, people who've been diagnosed with Alzheimer, because they tend to forget so much, so they do not look after their health, and, the life expectancy comes around to 4 to 8 years. Well, this is very unfortunate, but obviously we live in a community where the support system is amazing. So this is a report which was global. It wasn't just focusing on Pakistan. So now what I want you to tell our viewers is, what are the early symptoms of Alzheimer? God forbid if we see that in our daily routine, what can we do to stop it? And whether somebody, if they have Alzheimer's, at a full extent, how can they be protected?
Yes, it is very important question. Okay, what
Thank
are
you,
the
sir.
early
I
sign and symptoms of Alzheimer disease? Actually, Alzheimer starts with some sort of cognitive functioning. And cognition, it is composed of 3 things: your orientation, your memory, and your attention and concentration. So first of all, there is some impairment of memory. Your memory is reduced. It's especially short-term memory. Long-term memory is also destroyed, but mainly it affects short-term memory. And people are changed gradually, and they start to live in their past. They think they are in their childhood. And 2 days back, one lady came to my clinic along with her daughter, and her daughter was more than 50 years of age, and that lady was almost 80. So when I talked to her and I asked the question, how old are you? She replied, I am 30.
Huh?
Really?
You don't have to be
Yes,
demented for
then
that.
Well, why do you ask women about their age, sir?
Yes.
You don't have to do just.
So I hope the same reply you will not receive from every person.
Yeah.
So then I asked her, how old is your daughter, which is sitting beside you? She said, you are doctor, you should judge yourself. So I just wanted to inquire, if your daughter is more than 50 years of age, how you could be 30? But definitely you cannot talk in a logical way with those people. So it is very difficult. So memory disturbance is the first sign.
Okay.
And sometimes people recognize their self that our memory is disturbing. At that time they should contact a doctor, and they should think about it, and they can start some medication which is can stop. Of course, this process is irreversible.
Exactly.
Once it is getting worse, you cannot go back.
So all you need to have is good support system
Good
where people
support,
look after
definitely. Otherwise, it will be getting worse, and then there will be disturbance of routine matter. Exactly.
So obviously, your kids really need to look after. But thank you very much, Dr. Saab, for being with us. Thank you very much, Dr. Saiba, for being with us. Lovely to be in conversation. So tension lene ka nahi?
Dene ka.
That's what Dr. Saiba said. And yes, I believe that for everybody who wants to live a healthy life, number one, obviously, Allah tells us, this is something which I read just yesterday, that whatever has been in your past, please make sure that it is in the past. Do not carry all of that extra luggage onto your shoulders. Make sure that every single day you're hoping to for the best to happen in your life, and that too will come from Allah Almighty, or whoever you want it to come from. So for us as Muslims, we obviously look forward to Allah Almighty. You do that, you practice your faith, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to have an amazing life here and the life hereafter.
So until next time, it's a goodbye.
Good morning.
Good morning.